while trying to scale a new Meta ad account from $0 to $100,000, I almost derailed the whole thing. But now, we're in a better position than ever. In the last episode, I outlined 4 different tests that I wanted to run, implanting and forcing manual control, thinking I could hack my way through the algorithm. Today, I want to show you the results of the 4 tests and the learnings we took moving forward. The first test we ran was identifying and understanding how each creative format works. If you recall, in the first initial setup, we had actually tested static imagery within Flex ads. And the downside to that is that, number one, we weren't able to report appropriately to understand what is actually working in terms of asset, what is actually working in terms of copy. But number two, we weren't able to placement customize. And so we shifted our spend away from flexible ads and into a very specific static testing ad set. And the result of that is that we now have a very good understanding if it's the flexible ads or the static ads that is causing CPAs to be where they're at. Over the last 2 weeks or so since the last posting, what we've done is we've shifted a lot of our spend into video, a lot of our creative allocation, a lot of our resources. And what we can see here is while we break it down by video versus image versus flexible, the following. The first is that video, we now see 140% increase in total spend, but that just is simply us shifting our resources towards that. But what we're seeing is CPAs over the last 2 weeks come down to $65, specifically in top of funnel video. That's a 27% decrease in CPA. Image ads now see a 600% increase in spend because we weren't spending on image ads before, but that's coming in at roughly $76 CPA versus $65 on video. And then unknown, this is the flexible ads. This actually just represents our remarketing campaign, which our evergreen remarketing is still set up in the flexible format, even though it is static. It's performing quite well, but that general spend is sitting at about $3,000. We've reduced the spend because we've removed a lot of our video flex ads. CPAs are at $57. And so what we've learned moving forward is that we really need to focus on video assets for this account. Was this test a win? Absolutely yes. The second test we ran coming out of last week was one based off of URLs. We found last week that the homepage had a stronger click quality, meaning that people were actually browsing more versus driving to PDP. And so what we did about it was we streamlined all of our ads, 100% of our ads, to drive directly to homepage. And so regardless of where we're at right now, whether it's a promo or an evergreen ad, every single ad that we have will drive to the homepage as the final URL. The result of this is actually outstanding. Conversion rates on the back end of Shopify have gone up around 70%, over 70% to 72%. Keep in mind, this change only went live around the 29th, and we could see here an increase from sub 1% up to close to almost 2%, capping out at like 2.3% yesterday, sorry, 2.9% yesterday. And so this is a direct result of our findings. The third finding and the third test that we ran was that the Instagram placement at a 30% less cost. And so we wanted to take some control away from Meta serving across both placements, Meta and Instagram, and force Meta to spend very specifically in the Instagram placement. And so what we did is we launched one ad set that had our best ads in it and forced it to spend within the Instagram placements. This did not work in our favor, to say the least. We ended up spending about $250, only generated one sale, so a $250 CPA, and a 0.16x ROAS. Was this a win? No, this was a massive fail, I would say. Forcing spend into a placement clearly didn't work. It actually just skyrocketed our CPAs over time. And so we cut that and we're going back to all auto placements. The fourth and final test was one that I thought I was so smart for. I went in and looked at the performance by hour. And I noticed that we have something called the night owl effect here, where the vast majority of sales actually occur at nighttime, right? We're talking about a chocolate bar here. And so what I wanted to do was set up a day parting test in which we're focusing our spend to only serve impressions within that time frame. And so we went ahead and we launched a day parting test, a very specific ad set, which had the following metrics that came in. It was a lifetime budget. We ran it for a week between the dates of January 22nd and January 30th, in which we spent $350, again, only brought in one sale with our top ads at a 0.19x ROAS. And so on its face, if you take it at face value, this test did not pan out at all. But if we end up going and looking at performance by day between the 22nd and the 30th, which is 7 full days, 4 out of those 7 days had CPAs below $50 or below $63. Our average is $67. And in fact, we have the lowest CPAs in the account blended on these days, $37, $45, $45. And although we can't necessarily attribute this level of performance to the campaign because the campaign in platform did fail, I cannot say whether or not this was a win. To recap, out of the 4 tests, we have 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. So what did we learn? Number 1, forcing spend and impressions to serve in certain placements or time of day seems smart on paper, but Meta's system is better at finding qualified users and potential customers whenever and wherever they are available. Number 2, we should focus on controlling variables that are in our control, like focusing on crafting an ad with formats that work and driving it to a location that converts better, and let Meta deal with when and where those ads serve. This quite literally is the definition of Andromeda. So let's lean into it, accept it, rather than fight it. Last week, I was blessed with the opportunity to meet our dedicated Meta reps in person at the Meta office in Toronto. While influencers online do their best to describe what Andromeda is and how to be compliant with the algorithmic update, I went straight to the source and gained actionable insights that you can't get anywhere else. I shared this on my newsletter last week, The Growth Collective. Feel free to subscribe at the link in my bio. Up until December 2025, ads were mostly shown based on groups advertisers picked, such as targeting, like age, interests, or location. With Andromeda, Meta now uses powerful AI to decide which ad is best for each person in real time, based what they're doing, what they're watching, and what they're interacting with at that moment. Simply put, instead of focusing so much on who people are, the system focuses more on which ad they're most likely to enjoy or respond to right now. This means Meta cares less about strict targeting and much more about the quality and variety of the ads themselves. So creative is the new targeting. Let's lean into that. Exactly 1 week ago, on Feb 5th, I tore down everything that we know about the builds. I shut off the old ad sets, campaigns, and shifted everything into a setup that is Andromeda focused. What that means is that I went with broad audiences, I went with 1 ad set, and I built out all the ads that we have in as much variety as possible. And I'm letting Meta choose when to show the ad and where to show the ad. And much like I said, we are just controlling the creative types as well as where we are driving those particular ads. And this is how it's playing out. Honestly, it's been great. So there are 2 indicators that we see right now that are leading us to believe this is working very well. The first indicator is actual performance. So if we look on a daily dashboard, we made this change on the 5th. We're starting to see CPAs come down even further. And to recap where we're at, when we first launched, we were at 170. They were at 113 and 63, kind of hovered around the $65 mark. Ever since that launch, we're now at a $50 in-platform CPA. Our ROAS is positive for once, but most importantly, we're seeing new customer costs come down to about $35 and MER at above a 2x. And that indicates to us the ability to scale the account up. And to iterate, we have a ton of different types of ads in here, which we'll go through next week. But we're testing whitelist versus branded. We're testing promo versus evergreen. Different types of content, ASMR versus reviews versus founder-led content, statics versus videos. And we're just letting Meta do its thing. And right now, as it stands, we have some ads that are sitting at $31 CPAs in the account at volume. And so over time, what we're going to do is simply use this one campaign as a staging ground and let Meta choose where to spend that budget. Over time, we're going to be shutting things off and we're going to analyze what creative is working and why. We're gonna break that down next week. But what we can say unequivocally right now is that the campaign is working and it's poised to scale. We're now at the sub $50 mark in terms of CPAs. We're at the sub $35 mark in terms of acquisition costs blended for the business, and we're ready to roll. One large analysis that we saw here is when we actually look at the prospecting CPAs. So that's the Meta-defined net new audiences. I've broken it out on where we've spent them per campaign. We only have 4 campaigns. And it's really clear to us that we're running this A+ scale, which is this, for lack of better term, Andromeda based campaign. It's working really well for us. It spent $2,000 on new audiences at a $55 in-platform CPA and a positive over 1x ROAS. We're still not where we need to be, but we've made significant progress over the past 6 weeks to bring CPAs down in platform from over $100 to now very planned and very consistent $50 CPA. So we've kind of cut that anywhere between 50 and 75% in terms of CPA costs. And so we're still rolling in the right direction, but we're not there yet. And next week, we're gonna dive deep on creative iteration. So be sure to tune in then. By the way, if you run an e-com brand and you're trying to scale from 7 to 8 figures or beyond, this is exactly what we help brands do every day. If you think your brand could be a good fit to become our next case study, reach out using the details in the first pinned comment on this video and let's talk. We'll see if it makes sense to work together. Catch you in the next one.